How do we know his voice? We know his voice by getting into the word. Now let me wrap this up, because in Judges chapter 7, just a chapter over, verse 15, the Bible says, when Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, because Gideon had a dream, and the dream, it was all interpreted, he bowed and worshiped before the Lord. Then he returned to the Israelite camp and shouted, "Get up, for the Lord has given us victory over the Midianite hordes." Now, we got a different Gideon right here than we had at the beginning of his story.
Yeah.
That's a different attitude and disposition that we had at the beginning of his story. Now we have a man who ain't won nothing yet. They ain't fought the first battle. But he is declaring now by faith that the Lord has given us victory over the Midianite hordes. That happened because of the Lord and his interaction, because of the Lord showed up and gave Gideon some instruction. For us today now, these people all they had was what we call the Torah. Torah is 5 first books of the Bible, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. It was the Torah in some settings. In other settings, it's called the Pentateuch. But all these people had back then, they didn't have no Bible like we have now. All they had was these, they called them at then the book of Moses. That's all they had was these 5 books. And they called them the law. That's another reference. They called them the law. So they read that law. They learned it, they read it, and that was the only frame of reference they had. And even reading the law, they got to know God. Can you imagine? Even reading the law, Gideon knew that this was the Lord just by reading the law. He didn't have the book of John. He didn't have Matthew, right? He didn't have the book of Acts. He didn't have Hebrews. He didn't have the Romans road to salvation. He didn't have any of that.
He didn't have.
But he got to know God through reading, learning, and hearing the Torah, the book of the law, the 5 books of Moses. It's not going to be any different for us. If you want to get to know God, if you want to know God's voice,